oh, they're not going to see you. They're not going to see you because you're Asian. And I'm like, okay, there's the rude awakening. It was such a thrill to be able to play that role and to be a person of color in that role.
Take us back then to Miss Saigon, because obviously,
Right.
you know, some people associate that as being kind of a big breakthrough role, and of course it was.
It was, yeah.
But you had been working pretty extensively before
Yeah, I
that.
had been working for about 10 years.
So how did they find you? Because to be fair,
they
had been looking high and low for the perfect voice, for the perfect actor.
And I mean, they started searching first in London, came up empty-handed, headed to America. New York, Los Angeles, Honolulu, and ended up in Manila.
I mean, it truly catapulted you into
I
hate using the phrase, but a whole new world for you. We'll talk about that we'll talk about that a little bit later. But just tell us what it was like being, you know, you were very young.
I was very young. I was 17 when I
old.
auditioned, and 18 when we started rehearsals.
17 years old, out of the Philippines.
Yeah.
And you've got this kind of dashing.
Oh, so handsome.
Dashing actor
and
in front.
cheeky as anything.
But it must have been quite difficult because
it was quite difficult because I had not had a romantic relationship at that point in my life. So I knew nothing, literally zero. And I think this was a source of frustration for Cameron Mackintosh and Nicholas Heitner, who was directing. And finally, Nicholas had to demonstrate exactly what he needed me to do. And there was one point where he had to demonstrate these things with Simon Bowman, which is, you'd think it'd be uncomfortable, but it was actually incredibly helpful. But Simon was so sweet about everything. And when the point came when I realized, oh my God, this is what I'm going to have to do, and he could see that I was terrified and that my mom was terrified as well. He sat my mom down first and spoke to her, and then he sat the both of us down together and basically said the things that every leading lady that young in a show this big should hear from her leading man. You can trust me. I will not take advantage of you. I will take care of you. Yeah.
That's really sweet.
Even talking about it now, I get emotional.
Your role in Miss Saigon was incredibly well received. You were winning awards left, right and centre.
Can't complain, yeah.
I presume at that point then the other job offers just came rolling in?
No, not so much.
Why was that?
One would think, I mean, there is this automatic thing that you assume that when you win the Tony Award, that the jobs will just keep...
You got one on this side of the Atlantic as well.
I got the Olivier on this side of the pond and then more awards on the other side. But yeah, things weren't coming in, and there was actually an audition for a show that my agent submitted me for, my agent at the time. And he's like, I've submitted you to audition for this. And I said, all right, sure. But the minute he said the show, I'm like, I'm really not the right vocal part. And 10 minutes later, he calls me back. And he says, oh, they're not going to see you. They're not going to see you because you're Asian. And I'm like, okay, there's the rude awakening. That was kind of due to arrive. But not long after that, I get a call from Cameron's office, from one of his associate producers, and called me into a meeting in his office and said, I want to cast you as Eponine in Les Miserables. And so when the opportunity came, it was like, I knew that score like the back, by then, I knew that score like the back of my hand, backwards and forwards. Name it, name any role, I could sing it. I was that obsessed with it. I guess in the same way that a lot of young people are now obsessed with Hamilton, or a generation ago with Wicked. It's that same kind of power that musical held for me. And it was such a thrill to be able to play that role and to be a person of color in that role.
Well, the first Asian actress to play
I
that role
was the first Asian person to do it, yeah.
Without me, his world will go on turning, a world that's full of happiness that I have never known.
But as a professional, I mean, to be identified not as just a fantastic portrayal of the role, but as the first Asian to play the role.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of pressure to go with that. There is some expectation, and I think I spent quite a few sleepless nights thinking, oh, I'm sure that there are people out there who are just waiting for me to mess up, just so that they can say, see, look, it doesn't work. So I really made sure that I nailed that song. Like on opening night and on every night afterwards. I was just that driven to make sure that, to give no one any room to say anything negative about that.
How do you feel, though? Because it does seem sometimes, and this is not from someone with a huge musical theatre background. I did play, you know, The Artful Dodger in Kyle Academy's production of Oliver
I'm sure
in
you were
1991.
brilliant.
I was fantastic. But at the same time, historically, there have been an awful lot of Caucasian actors and actresses that have played Asian roles, but not the other way around.
Nope. And certainly we were not always given the opportunity to play the roles that we are absolutely right for.
Is there a part of you that in any way resents the efforts that you had to go to?
No. No. Why would I be resentful? I mean, I'm enjoying the fruits of all of that now, with a really wonderful career that sees no signs of stopping anytime soon. I mean, still so many firsts that I'm experiencing in my life, and I get to do what it is I love to do the most. I can't resent all of that if it led me to all of this, you know? And if it meant making things easier for succeeding generations of Asian actors to get roles, then you know what? It was all worth it.
Well, it certainly has.
Indeed, yeah.
I mentioned, obviously, I have to mention being a Disney princess.
Oh, yeah.
Because in terms of career highlights...
That's not bad.
It's got to be up there somewhere, doesn't
it definitely is. I was not feeling cute that particular day. No makeup, hair up in a top knot, and a really ugly winter sweater because it was cold. And it worked out because they said, we don't need to see you. We only need to hear you sing. So we're going to bow our heads and just really listen to you. So please don't be offended. I'm like, thank you, God. It all works out for me.
Don't you dare close your eyes. 100,000 hold your breath to see. I'm like a shooting star. I've come so far.
To this day, people must still, you know, I mean, just to see you sing this.
That song.
I mean, that must bring, that's the one that brings the house down, isn't it? I'm sure they all do, obviously.
Right, yeah.
That's got to be up there.
It is up there. And I always call somebody from the audience to do it with me. Like, I ask for a volunteer to come up, and a lot of the times, most of the time, I will get someone who is incredible, who could be doing this for a career. And then sometimes I'll get the odd lemon here and there, who should not be anywhere near a microphone. So, yeah, we have a few of those.
I'm not turning up to the gig now, thanks. Cheers. Tell us, Ben, a bit about Mulan and the experience with that as well. Because, you know, doing one Disney film, you know, everyone's done that.
It's not enough.
Getting two of them in.
Yeah, it's a rare thing. There are very few actors that have done more than one. So I feel like I'm in a very exclusive, small, you know, club. I'm very, very lucky. But yeah, Mulan was... That one I actually also had to audition for. Because just because you've done one successfully, it doesn't automatically mean that you're right for another one.
Just, you know, an Oscar in the cupboard, you know, that doesn't stand for anything.
No,
yeah.
It's fine.
I mean,
but yeah, that song.
It's not your favourite of the two, is it? Reflections.
I think it has become, it's become sort of its own thing now. Because A Whole New World is kind of like the big family sing-along at the concert. But Mulan, it kind of means, its meaning has just continued to evolve. And it's a song about representation, about it being important to see somebody that reflects you. When you're sitting in an audience, you look up on stage and you see somebody that actually looks like you. That's important.
Do you think that happens enough these days in theatre?
It could happen more.
If you had one piece of advice for people who, like yourself, want to increase the amount of diversity on the stages of the world, what would it be? Do it because it's the right thing to do. Because I think there are people who are afraid that it's not going to generate revenue. And I mean, producers as business people,
kind of have that at the forefront of their minds. But if anything like films such as Crazy Rich Asians has proven, and Black Panther, and so many other shows. I mean, come on, Hamilton, just by itself. If there's anything that these shows are proving, it's that when you put people of color in shows and on film, it means that there will be more people who will, like, you're all of a sudden you're catering to another segment of the population with disposable income to put into those movies.
Just in terms of where you are in your career now, and as you said right at the very beginning, you know, you keep hitting first. I mean, have you found the opportunities have expanded as you've gotten older?
I think I'm getting more interesting roles to play now.
Yeah.
Because I've kind of graduated from the ingenue club, because I'm 48 years old, which means that the offers I'm starting to get are for things that are a little more interesting. You're arriving at that age, and the roles that are going to start arriving are roles that are really meaty and interesting, because it's not about looking pretty anymore. And that's exciting to think about. So who knows what kind of first is going to end up on my lap.